Here we are for another edition of Ethan's Movie Lounge. In this edition, we will discuss Wes Anderson's The Grand Budapest Hotel, starring Ray Fiennes, Tony Revolori, Edward Norton, Saoirse Ronan, F. Murray Abraham, Willem Dafoe, Adrian Brody, Jeff Goldblum, Tilda Swinton, Harvey Keitel, and a whole lot of others. This film is got a star-studded cast, and it's pure Wes Anderson. I mean, even if you can't tell by this brilliant Criterion cover that it is like, this is basically it really does capture the film. And I will say this about the Grand Budapest Hotel: it's a film that I didn't like the first time I saw it, and upon rewatching it, I realized that I can be wrong sometimes, and especially with a director like Wes Anderson, who, he's a very singular artist, got a really great voice, that's all his own. Sometimes his films are a bit hard to swallow, and this film, it's not, first viewing, it kind of seems all over the place, but watching it again, you realize just how brilliant this fucking movie is, because like Wes Anderson doesn't always hit, but this might be his masterpiece. I would also very close to, like, say maybe Rushmore or his latest feature, The Phoenician Scheme, which if you haven't checked out my quickie review on The Phoenician Scheme, be sure and check that out. That it was a pure masterpiece. But the centerpiece of this film is basically F. Murray Abraham, who plays the older version of Zero, who is played by Tony Revolori, who is in most movies kind of fucking annoying, but in this one he gives a very subtle performance. I believe this was probably the first movie I had seen him in, so I didn't. It kind of has an annoying face, But when he's alongside a fucking titan like Ray Fiennes, he really fucking shines, because Ray Fiennes gives a performance like no other in this film. Because Ray Fiennes, of course, is one of the greatest actors of all time, and I might say this is his best performance. Of course, he's got a bevy of others that we could argue, like maybe The English Patient or fucking, maybe The English Patient. That movie's fucking great too. A lot of people shit on that one, but I personally like, maybe we'll do an Ethan's Movie Lounge on that one. But for now, we're focusing on Wes Anderson's The Grand Budapest Hotel. And it's got the older Zero, F. Murray Abraham, telling the story of this film to Jude Law, who is a writer. And of course, the beauty of having Jude Law in this movie is there's not a whole lot of Jude Law in this movie, Not shitting on Jude Law, but, he's real hit and miss. When he hits, he sure does hit, though. He's no Ray Fiennes, though. And so we find ourselves in the early 1930s. And the beauty of, like, Wes Anderson, he has a way of, like, having shit take place in real places, but in his own little fantasy world of shit. And the production design of this film is impeccable. Like I said, pure Wes Anderson. You definitely, auteur theory especially applies to his film, because there's not a Wes Anderson film out there that you wouldn't say, oh, this is a Wes Anderson film. And of course, Ray Fiennes, he's like the top, like, concierge, whatever the fuck, for the Grand Budapest Hotel, and like, he's great at what he does. For him, this kind of shit is an art, like, and he has a penchant for seducing older ladies, older rich ladies that are insecure. One in particular is Tilda Swinton, whose name in the film is Madame Day, which is a reference to the Max Ophuls film, The Earrings of Madame Day. But this isn't earrings that we're after. That's a painting of called Boy with Apple. And the thing about it is, she's very rich, and the beginning of the film, they have a little exchange, have a little tea or dinner, whatever the fuck, and she thinks that she's gonna die, and this will be the last time, and she ends up being murdered. Nobody knows who, so they go out. Gustav, played by Ray Fiennes, and Zero, they go out to the funeral, and they're already ambushed by her crazy ass son, played by Adrian Brody, who's absolutely brilliant in the film. Like, Adrian Brody is another actor that's one of the best, and he definitely fucking chews up the scenery in this film. And what's crazy about this film too is there's a lot of action in it for a Wes Anderson film. I guess before this one, the most action he had in his films, maybe The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. The action in this one is a lot more like stylized. It's definitely cartoonish, but there's a lot more consequence. Like it's kind of brutal. Like Jeff Goldblum gets his fucking fingers cut off by a door. Like Willem Dafoe, who kills him. Like Willem Dafoe is like so sinister in this film. Of course, like I said, this is a star-studded cast. Wes Anderson put together some of the greatest actors of this time, and of course, Willem Dafoe like definitely chews up the scenery too. There's a lot of fucking like foul language, a lot of slurs and stuff, but I mean, it is the early 1930s, and you don't. What makes it seem out of place is you don't really see that kind of language in a Wes Anderson film. You know, he's not really a vulgar sort of person, but this movie's like kind of harsh and brutal, you know, and it deals the little, when they throw Ray Fiennes in prison, there's a whole, that whole prison escape sequence. It was where we meet Harvey Keitel's character, Ludwig, and, you know, Harvey Keitel, man, might be the greatest actor of all time, because no matter what the fuck that guy's in, he's tearing it up, man. Like, and he definitely all jacked and bald in prison and shit, and then they get the escape is done. Like, thing about it is Wes Anderson is like a very art house film director. This is the kind of guy that like jerks off to art house European cinema. And if you couldn't tell, if you weren't sure that, this movie is a clear-cut indicator. And of course, I love the way he plays with the fucking aspect ratio too, because when it's in the 30s, it's the fucking 4:3 square, and then when you get to the late 60s, where F. Murray Abraham's telling all this shit to Jude Law, then you get the widescreen 2.35, which I believe they usually have it on these things. But this one's a little different. This Criterion edition too is like, you know, of course, like Criterion has like every single Wes Anderson movie on Criterion. I think they just recently released that box set, the fucking 10 Wes Anderson thing. And I guess Phoenician Schemes in that one too, because that's the 10th one, I believe. But you get this romantic poetry shit. That's all in, you know. You get like it fucking Boy with Apple. That's the painting that Tilda Swinton's Madame Day leaves fucking Ray Fiennes. And that's what they're all after, because it's like priceless, beautiful and stuff. It's like he's not going to sell, he's going to have it over his bed. They even give you a fucking poster too. I'm not going to throw that because my screen's not big enough. But, you know, it's just simply brilliant. You know, like I said, just that fucking, the Criterion, man, you know, they've been kind of slacking with some of their releases. But, you know, of course they're going to go all out for their golden boy, Wes Anderson. Every single movie on Criterion. I don't think there's another director out there that has at least 10 movies that has every single film on Criterion. And this one is specific. The transfer is fucking beautiful, because like I said, the whole fucking movie is just a work of art. The comedy in it is brilliant too. Like Ray Fiennes, not only a great performance, but a great comedic performance, you know, because there's just, you know, there's moments where he's just like gonna like soliloquize whatever the fuck he's talking about, and then just say, well, fuck it, you know, and it's just so abrupt, and the pauses and everything. This is clearly like, you know, like I said, it's top 5 Wes Anderson movies, because it's pure Wes Anderson. You know, it's like, it's one of those, because there are times where the man will become a parody of himself, and it's hard to enjoy it. It's like, oh, well, it's just another Wes Anderson movie, you know. But this one, this one right here is bar none though, like showing like a master filmmaker. Like I said, the action sequence, that shootout at the end, is fucking brilliant, you know, because it's like cartoonish but intense all at the same time. It's like real consequences and stuff. Even that prison break where that guy's in the fucking like the catacombs fighting it out with those guards and shit, and the guy just stabs him, and then, well, I guess you call that a draw, you know. And in the back and forth, like I said, the chemistry that Ray Fiennes has with Tony Revolori in this film is absolutely brilliant. And I believe, like I said, a great director can get a performance out of anybody, and you know, especially a director like Wes Anderson can handle a cast as great as this, with the amazing Saoirse Ronan, who's the love interest for Tony Revolori in the film Zero. Agatha is her name, and like it's just fucking the praise for this film cannot be hard enough. Like, I feel like an idiot for hating it when I first saw it, but you know, sometimes you're just not in the mood for this shit. Sometimes you got to sit down. The beauty of film is like sometimes that first viewing isn't enough. Sometimes you need more than one viewing to truly appreciate a film, and like I said, it's very well written, very well done, executed. Like the acting, every performance is fucking on point in this film. I don't really think there's a bad performance in this film, and of course we see even Edward Norton gives a phenomenal performance in this film. Like he's exceptional as the fucking soldier guy, and it's fucking other film. Like you just can't really no complaints with this film. Like upon viewing it again, I realized I was a fucking idiot for not liking it. And so if you're a big Wes Anderson fan and if you haven't seen this film, definitely check it out, because this is a fun movie. This is what cinema should be, funny, intense, like it just fucking, just watching it, man, just really just gets you, and it's like, even somebody that annoys the fuck out of me like Tony Revolori, like I can enjoy his performance because like you got Ray Fiennes, man, fucking owns this shit, and just seeing all these great, and it's the whole fucking Wes Anderson crew will pop up here too. You see Bill Murray, Owen Wilson, among many other, Jason Schwartzman, all the motherfuckers that were kind of the Wes Anderson stock company, and just pure fun. I enjoyed it watching it again. Of course, this Criterion edition is something special to be had, like as all of them. They really done a great job for every Wes Anderson release that they have got fucking posters and maps and all this shit. So the Grand Budapest Hotel. If you didn't like it the first time like me, you'll probably love it the second time, and then you want to watch it at least 5 more fucking times to really just dissect and appreciate how great this fucking movie is. I mean, Wes Anderson is like, he might not be my favorite Anderson, but he definitely is a director that has a singular voice, doesn't fuck around when it comes to the cinema, and is one of those like kind of much like how Tarantino is pastiche for like 70s exploitation films. Wes Anderson's kind of pastiche for fucking European art house cinema of all from the late 40s to the early 70s. And the way both of those directors do that, they're pastiche, but they're pastiche in a way that it's original. Like it's so pastiche, it's almost original. That's if that makes any fucking sense. But the Grand Budapest Hotel, a fucking masterpiece. Ray Fiennes, one of the greatest actors of all time. Like definitely check out his body of work, and as well as Wes Anderson's, and of course like Harvey Keitel too. Like for as brief as he is in this film, like he definitely like makes an impression. So this has been another episode of Ethan's Movie Lounge. More of these will come along as soon as I'll find a movie that I want to just talk about. Maybe we'll have guests on this. I watch a lot of movies, so whoever the fuck can keep up with this insanity of film going, feel free to hit me up in the comments if I've said anything wrong, anything you disagree with. Feel free to eviscerate me in the comments. This shit's all open forum. Who really cares? Anyways, it's just movies. We're having fun with this shit. I do this as a way because I enjoy movies. And I get tired of hearing people just bitch about movies. Because if you claim to like movies, but I don't hear one fucking movie that you like, or you're bitching about this motherfucker, bitching about that motherfucker, that's why I've opened up the lounge. Because motherfuckers need to just chill and enjoy films and appreciate films, because that's what they're meant for. The motion pictures are fucking magical. So let's just sit back and enjoy the magic, because motherfuckers may say that the cinema's dead, but as long as we got fucking great artists like Wes Anderson doing shit like this, and even the Phoenician Scheme, of course, check out my quickie review on that, the cinema will never die. This has been Ethan's Movie Lounge. I'm Ethan, and I fucking love movies.